something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How you going? How's your Monday? I guess your weekend was a bit shocked, especially from last night, late yesterday afternoon, of course, the goings-on in Sydney. Absolutely atrocious, and we'll spend a bit of time talking about that tonight. Just want to thank everybody who has sent through birthday wishes for me, both here in the chat. The lovely Sandy was first in, and Lady Ryder Rose, Aussie Sue, of course, Mr. Grace, God love him. Clayton's mum, who has a birthday today as well. So very many happy returns to Clayton's mum. And as Aussie Sue always says, don't forget to like and share, folks. We could use the help. And, pardon me, very keen to spread the word, so to speak. I think there's a few more people waking up around us, and we can only get to them if you tell them we exist. What the... This is getting a bit shocking. We had a python into the puppy enclosure last night. Mayhem. I bet there was. Only casualties were an old shovel and a snake's pride. Ordinarily, I'm not up for killing snakes. Pardon me. But in this case, a big snake would quite happily, wouldn't even need to be a big snake, could take one of those puppies pretty easily and make it dinner. So I guess, but yeah, there are other ways to handle pythons, folks. Don't have to use a shovel. And they're only doing what nature intended. But yeah, I'm a bit protective of the puppies myself, I bet. Rachel, thank you so much. And you and Jimmy, well, God love you. Totally responsible for the best birthday message that I think I got today, and I've forgotten to add it like a complete tool. Where is it? Tell me I didn't save it. I'll have to go and have another look for that and maybe play that tomorrow night, because I've been a bit of a dick and for whatever reason haven't saved it. I'm just looking for where I sent it to myself, and I didn't. So I can't play the video. Beautiful video of Rachel and Jimmy singing me happy birthday. I don't know why I haven't got that up there, and that all of a sudden I can't find it. Strange things are going on here, folks. I only have one thing to say.
And what a clustered fuck this is.
Okay, let's move on, shall we? Who else is in the chat tonight? I haven't really been through there. Tony, he's on the road and up in New South Wales. So nice to have you a little bit closer, Tone, but yeah, we'll make an attempt to try and catch up while you're sort of in the area. Well, you're a lot closer than Melbourne, put it that way. The lovely Sunflower, thank you for your birthday wishes today. And Penny, hello to you. And Margie's in the house. Margie's probably a bit disappointed in me. She was expecting to see me on the Sunshine Coast at some stage today. That didn't happen for, well, all the reasons that happened last night. Really, I've just been stuck trying to learn a few things, find out what's going on, because there is a bit that is obviously out there in the public, and there is a lot more that was put out there, subtle messages that maybe many people didn't see, or maybe they're just coincidences, which is all quite possible as well. But there are some strange things that have popped up today in the ensuing mainstream media feeding frenzy that has gone on. I believe Channel 7 and Channel 9 have both more or less gone live from Bondi for most of the day. I personally think that that's very disrespectful. If they did their morning shows from there and all that kind of thing, I think that's very, very disrespectful. But television people have never been known to let respect get in the good way of a dramatic story. And my word, isn't it a dramatic story? And I guess it has all the hallmarks of what a good dramatic story should have. It has bad guys, it has a hero, it has sadness, an unbelievable sadness, and I'm not dismissing any of that in any way, shape, or form. I do have some questions, as many of us will have, but some of those questions might have to wait until emotions are cooled somewhat, although it doesn't look like a lot of emotions are actually cooling. So before we get into that, here's a bit of a look at Mum, for those of you who want to know what a 90-year-old looks like. There she is. She doesn't look bad for an old duck. Still gets out and plays golf once a week, or she usually plays 18 holes, but she hurt her shoulder a month or two ago, and so she only goes and plays 9 these days, but went out and played yesterday, or day before yesterday, something like that, and had a lovely time of it. And we went off and had a magnificent lunch on the Gold Coast. If you're into seafood and you would like to have a lovely seafood lunch along the Broadwater, I can highly recommend something called the Lazy Lobster in Labrador. We went there, and it was a magnificent meal, truly magnificent. I had a steak, which was absolutely wonderful. There's the daughter. She drove. I got to drink all of 2 beers, but there you go. Big celebration. So she says hello to everybody as well, and I'll give you a full-length shot so you can see how skinny she is. So yeah, we had a lovely day yesterday, and day before yesterday, when we did the lunch for us both, and now we've just got to get through Christmas, which will be great. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. All right, so to the bullshit of yesterday in Sydney, and I thought long and hard about what I would say about this tonight. I'm not going to get over dramatic with it, and people may say, "Oh, Carl, you're just not, you're missing something, or you're not connected." I don't get emotionally involved in these kind of things. I guess I probably would if someone had placed me there and the bullets were whizzing over my head. It might be a different matter. However, I don't get too emotionally involved in all of these things, and that's why their emotional arguments don't really fall on me as they may fall on other people who are more open to those emotional sorts of manipulation. Now, I'm going to preface everything tonight by asking a question about the shooter, Nazim, whatever his name is, and the fact that his name was Googled over 1,000 times in the lead up to the shooting. This happened before he was shot, or before they started shooting, many hours before. The name that we've been given at least, has been Googled many, many times. It's been done once or twice in the previous days, but there were over 100 yesterday, and all of these inquiries emanated out of Israel. It's just a question, but why would so many people take an interest in this fella, Nazim, whatever he is, prior to the shooting? There has been some suggestion that he was ADF trained, that he has been in the ADF at some stage. I don't know the veracity of that. Certainly looked like he could cycle a rifle okay. He knew what he was doing there, but it's not terribly hard to learn how to cycle a rifle. If you sit in your lounge room and play with it, you will be able to learn how to figure out how to cycle through a rifle very quickly. I've seen a lot of dramatic footage and a lot of dramatic news stories today, many of which surround the weapons and the great stories. God, they've employed some AI storytellers at news.com and a few others to write very creative stories, very descriptive, very emotionally charged scripts that they are printing, and they are doing that for a reason. So I think it only fair that we show the other side of a few things. Now, if you were watching Sky News at all, and I think probably Channel 9 and Channel 7 had this bloke on as well, it looks like he was doing the rounds, you would have come across a bloke who had his head bandaged and was covered in blood. This fella right here. Now, that's a pretty bad look. His story is that he was grazed by a bullet. I know people who've been grazed in the head by a bullet, and they don't generally just get a bandage put on there and sent home. They are usually taken for some kind of CT scan at the very least, and maybe an MRI, because a bullet, even glancing and just skimming past your scon, can fracture it. And if it's hit the skin, we all know how little skin there is on a bonce, and this bloke clearly didn't have too much hair, as you can see here, where he had plenty of time to take a selfie before he got attention. And this is also the chairman of the Australian Israel Jewish Council. Now, what bad luck for this bloke. The president of the Jewish Australian Council, the Israeli Australian Council, comes to Australia only a few days ago, and he was also in the horrific attack in Israel on October the 7th. I mean, what kind of luck? I mean, seriously, to be caught in the October the 7th massacre, let's call it, particularly at the Nova Festival, and then to come to Australia of all places and wind up being grazed by a bullet, being shot by a crazed Muslim. Or did he? Because that looks like a bloke very similar to the other bloke that I've just shown you, who appears to be getting a bit of makeup applied. Now, I'm not prepared completely to say that is the same guy, but I'm also prepared to say it raises quite a few questions. Now, I want you to have a look at that picture, and I want you to draw particular attention to the collar on the left-hand side of his T-shirt. You notice anything there? That looks a bit different, doesn't it? Did the blood wash out of that part of the collar, do you think? Looks pretty thick and stained there, don't you think? All of a sudden, we get to here, and wouldn't you think that if somebody who clearly knew how to apply a head bandage, wouldn't you think they washed the blood off his face a little bit? I'm just saying. It's just a question. Why does that bloke look significantly like that bloke? Why does the blood not appear here on this shirt? Does it appear on that one? Doesn't look like it appears on that one either. So could this be a different shirt on a different day on a different guy? Anything is possible. Just saying, there are a few questions floating around. In mainstream media at the moment, they're pushing forward a narrative explaining the background of this young 24-year-old who apparently went crazy and decided he was going to shoot a whole pile of Jews on the first day of Hanukkah. So much so that we've had some Jewish scholar come out and say, oh, yes, he was a good boy. He came and passed everything in my class. Now, if you're reading, I think it's news.com.au, you'll see this photo that they are using to say, here he is, he was a nice boy, he passed everything. The reality of it, though, is that is the cropped photo version of this. And if you look closely at this, I want you to pay particular attention to the gentleman on the left, the teacher. Watch his white shirt going down what it would be the teacher's left arm. Have a look at the scale of the teacher and of the student. Do you think they are standing side by side? Does that student look like a cutout that has been pasted over the top of this fella in the left, in the white shirt? I've blown it up a bit bigger and had closer looks and all that sort of thing, but there's something about that doesn't sit quite right with me. Something's not kosher. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know, but I did. So look out. I'm probably going to get banned. In fact, be prepared, folks. The only remaining YouTube channels are likely to get kicked tonight because of what I'm showing you. I have and ahed about showing you the shooter vision. I don't think I will, because I've shown you that guy in particular. They're probably going to have a go at me on showing bloody people or, you know, whatever. So I figure I won't give them two chances, because if I show people firing guns at that event, it's probably going to be classified as a terrorist hate crime or something. And a bit like what happened with the gentleman, I think it was a rabbi, who got stabbed by a Muslim guy. Was it Christmas last year or the year before, or whenever it was? That got banned, totally taken off the internet. So same with all the vision from, I think it was the Bondi shopping centre thing. I think all that was removed. So I'm not going to give them the chance to pull the shooter stuff off. But I do have plenty of it, and I have a feeling we might be doing another show on this, but it'll be a Rumble show at some stage down the track. There is a lot more to come out of this. The news coverage was extensive. Sky News, I sort of flicked between Sky News, Channel 7 and Channel 9, and they were all madly scrabbling to try and gain some sort of picture on the ground. It was pretty difficult for them initially. All their reporters, who just happened to be rich enough to live around Bondi, were obviously not with camera crews, and the roads were locked down. So getting camera crews, 2 stars like Stefanovic, proved a little bit difficult. But after 45 minutes or so, they managed it. And where did they set him up? Well, for most of the night, he was stuck pretty much right there where he is. And I'm just suggesting that maybe it's a fluke, but let's zoom in just a little bit. And if you haven't noticed it yet, maybe for those that know, you're noticing something now. Then Channel 9, and I must say, Channel 9, well, they've played the diversity card really, really well, I would say. The diversity card played because they sent this young lady out to interview Jewish people running off a killing field. Who is this Muslim lady? This Muslim lady is Masila Ilya, I think is how you say it. And she is a new Channel 9 reporter. She's not new to TV. She's a very clever young woman by all accounts. She's worked for both the ABC and the SBS. And she is not what you'd call a diversity hire, much. But she is the first woman on Australian commercial television to wear a hijab, apparently. Got to say, I was shocked, not surprised, but I was shocked to see a Muslim woman with a microphone and a camera crew running up to a bunch of Jews who are madly panicking and running off and trying to get away from an area of great distress to them. And she's there trying to stick a camera in the fire. I thought I was watching Al Jazeera to begin with. I'm surprised that the girl got away unscathed without being abused, but credit to all involved that she didn't, by the sound of it, certainly not on air in any way, shape or form, get abused. But I did notice that later in the bulletin they stopped her interviewing those sorts of things and pulled her back into a more secondary role, more a producer role, which wasn't seen, and they managed to hand off reporting duties, if you like, to one of their older, more senior reporters, Damien, somebody or other, looks like an albino. And he was a bit shaken, but he continued on stoically, as they all did. I just think it could have probably been handled a little better, but, you know, nobody's complained. Gun control is going to be the big issue now. That is what will be on the agenda. And, of course, Albanese has already come out and said that they are now going to look at extra controls upon people. So why would this be a false flag or controlled event, do you think, folks? Well, they haven't taken all the guns off us yet. quite clearly, and they want to make sure they get them. So now they're planning on enforcing a limit, or what they're going to probably enforce is a limit of 3 weapons per person. Now, that's going to make it very hard for gun collectors and many others who've got a lot more weapons, and certainly a lot more than 6. I have questions about how an immigrant can gain a gun license in this country and get to hold 6 weapons if one of their close relatives, or like maybe, I don't know, the son, is known to ASIO. Now, why would the son be known to ASIO? I don't know. It could be 1,000 reasons, and none of them could have anything to do with being a potential shooter. But he was identified by ASIO for a reason, for something, and they haven't been forthcoming in telling us what that is. So why would Dad and their son and his son, who inherently they're very close, these Muslim families, why wouldn't they think, we just might want to be taking a closer eye on you? Because they will come to a Western Australian farmer and take all the guns off them because, no, you're not allowed to shoot camels, or you can't go and shoot the pests on your property. No, you might be a danger. They'll go and take the guns off people who have done years of legal and lawful study to gain certain accreditations inside a system that, some of the Western Australian police and judiciary don't believe in. Certainly the politicians don't believe in, but that's good enough reason for them to come and take your guns off you. And yet we have an immigrant who has been able to get not 1 but 6 guns, and that's no big deal. I'm surprised, though. How long have they lived in the country? Maybe they've been here 25, 50 years. I don't know. But if they've been here a couple of years, I'd be surprised, and wouldn't there be questions being asked if we've got immigrants coming into the country and immediately lining up to get gun licenses? Doesn't anything in the system trigger a warning there? No, clearly not. Well, maybe there will be a benefit for AI in the future. Maybe AI can help identify those sorts of anomalies that, one might want to take a closer look at if you're being paid a few $100,000 a year and hiding under the cover of a secret security agency. Just saying. It really might be worth having some of those many people that are employed to cross-reference new gun ownership and gun registrations and gun license registrations, permissions to purchase. Might be nice to be able to cross-reference that against the people who've just come in off the latest 777 from God knows whatever shithole in the world. Do we not think that would be a common sense thing to do? Rather than run up to a farmer's gate and threaten the fuck out of them to try and get on their property so you can string a wire or 3 and set the bush on fire, wouldn't it be a little bit better to spend a bit more time actually looking at, considering you make it so hard to get a gun license? I know, I've tried. And no, I didn't get knocked back. I just got sick of the process. So I'll probably wind up going through it again now, just because I want to see what it's like. I want to see what they do. It's not that I particularly want to own a gun. I don't particularly want to own a gun. I don't see that I have any need for a gun. However, I do like target shooting. And now that I am of a certain age, maybe I go and get involved in some seniors target shooting. I would like that. I don't have a hobby. Don't have many friends that go shooting and all that sort of thing. So, I've not really been exposed to it in that regard, but I do have a couple of mates who are very good rifle shots, very good long arm shooters. And I like the precision of it. So, yes, I could be involved in something like that in my senior years. Now that we're seniorish. But getting that license is all sorts of hoop jumping. I'd like to know what gun club that fella was a member of. And to own 6 weapons, he will have needed to have been a member there for a while. He will have needed to be contributing at the gun club for some time as an active member. It just doesn't mean you turn up and shoot. It means you get involved with other bits. At least it does up here. It means you get involved with other parts of gun club operation. That means that you might work the desk and show people around, or do lessons if you're qualified, all that kind of thing. And gun clubs these days are a necessity in your life if you are planning on gaining and holding any kind of gun license. You can't do it without joining a gun club. And the gun club has a responsibility then to report back to police and other officials, or all officialdom, put it that way, on your attendance, what you are like at the club, whether you present as a stable, rational person, or whether or not you come running in saying, I'm going to kill the fucking Jews, or I'm going to kill the Nazis, or I'm going to kill somebody, or such and such, or I can't wait to go out and get my ghillie suit and hide up a tree somewhere. That's the kind of talk they look out for, because you are going to bring the sport into disrepute. And I would recommend you not consider ever joining a gun club or doing anything like that. There is no point at this point in time for any of us to go grab guns and start shooting up the world. All that's going to result in is a lot of our deaths. Not theirs, ours. So, but the coercive control that the government will now employ impacts all Australians. This violence was perpetrated quite clearly not against Australians, because any number of those interviews that you saw on mainstream media last night, where Jewish people were horrified and saying how awful it was, they identified as Israeli. They separately identified Australians who came to help, one of whom also said he'd been living here 35 years. But he didn't call himself an Australian. He called himself an Israeli. That's because Israel is always home. This country is a nice one to live in, or it used to be. Didn't get shot when you went to Bondi. Now, the war between the Jews and whoever they've pissed off most recently comes to Australia. And now all Australian people are going to be made to suffer for it. All Australian people are going to have another level of coercive control, and you may not care. You may not care because you don't like guns, or you don't have a gun. It's not going to affect you. You never want a gun. Right. But I can tell you, there are hundreds of thousands of very active shooters in this country who do like shooting. Now, some of them like hunting. I'm not a shooter that would enjoy going out and killing another thing, but there are those who do enjoy doing that, and we have places and spaces for them to do just that. Others enjoy clay target shooting, skeet shooting, trap shooting. Others enjoy target pistol shooting, long range, long bore, long range shooting, like sniper rifles. And God knows, we have so many amateur snipers in this country. Everybody wants to be a long way away and be able to deliver a precision shot. And that's why every Saturday at name your gun club in any capital city, you'll find the boys with the big guns set up on the long range doing their miles every weekend, because they like that kind of thing. Now, you have to be a part of the club. You just don't turn up, sit in the corner, put your rounds down range, and then go home again, because that's going to get you a bad report back to authorities. So this fella must have been engaged at the gun clubs at some level, if in fact he is a registered shooter. Where did he get his shooter's license? Not that it matters. Those people who issue gun training and gun licenses have no idea what the fool is going to do with the weapon. It's not the gun that kills people, folks. It's not the gun that kills people. It's the idiot pulling the trigger. It's the person with the intent holding it. And I know that sounds like a soft argument to some people, but that's because you can't argue with it. It's a fact. An innate weapon cannot do anything. It won't jump up, aim itself, and pull its own trigger. I know there are weapon systems today that will do that, but these blokes weren't employing them. So our coerced government or coercive government is going to coerce the people even more. And if you think that it's only just going to affect gun holders, you'd be very wrong. You'd be very wrong. It's just the first of the next in a many-step process that is going to end in all of us quite happily being locked down, living in 15-minute cities and not owning anything and loving it. You will eat the bugs. And you will at this rate. Now, there's been a bit of pushback, as one would expect, but it's the Australian government that is going to face the brunt of a lot of this. And then let's look at the Australian government, shall we? There's this filthy, rotten, horrible piece of shit called Bowen. He's going to probably have to come out and explain what he's going to do about his monthly phone bill of $62,000. But he will also be leading the charge of climate crying in the country in 2026. And he's just picked up a job with the COP32 team. So you know damn well that he's going to resign from politics in the not too distant future. And I would expect take up a job with COP32 at probably a very handy 6-figure a year salary and some sort of notoriety, and he will be left with some weight in his penis so that he'll be able to swing it around in Canberra over the next few years, trying to push forward the climate crisis. Who do we blame for everything? Well, we should blame all governments, not just the elbow sleazy ones, but for people like this one these ones who get charged by whatever reason, whatever cleric to run out and do damage, they've got funding from somewhere. Where did he pay for those 6 guns? I mean, there's, probably, a minimum of $6,000, but I would say there's probably $10,000 to $12,000 worth of weaponry there. How did it happen? Where did the weapons come from? How did they get the money? Well, maybe it's come from a great donation the Albanese government awarded, not a donation, $30 million to an Islamic organization whose top cleric urged Muslims to wage jihad and fund fighters against Israel. Well, I guess funding fighters against Israel would potentially explain where the money came from to buy 6 weapons. Australia's top national security department gave the Australian National Imams Council $27 million under its Security Uplifts for Muslim Communities in Australia program. What a mouthful that is. Security Uplifts for Muslim Communities in Australia. What the hell does that mean? It was delivered without government announcement through a closed process where no other groups were allowed to apply. Well, it certainly guarantees that you're going to get $27 million. What have you done with it? Well, you start putting out propaganda maybe, and it does appear to have started. Do you like this one? You all wanted this, so eat it up. Ha, ha, ha. There is much more to come, you fucking martyr dogs. Islam will rule, and you Aussie scum will see that soon. Sorry, I haven't got my reading glasses on. Different when the war is on your doorstep. Huh. Be careful on New Year's, you Aussie scum. And there's another one that said, did you not know what you invited in? Did you not know what you were protecting or protesting about? Well, Jew-loving dogs are about to find out. Ha, 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 ha. Rot in pieces. Do I inflame you? Well, good. Did you not understand what you idiots wanted? So there are some interesting texts being pushed out by the extreme side of Islam and a threat to New Year's Eve. I don't know. I wasn't planning to go anywhere big on New Year's Eve, but I know 1 million people generally turn up around Sydney Harbour on New Year's Eve. You'd have to be pretty stiff to be in the exact place where anything, if it were to happen, happened. But it would certainly make me think twice about going and standing around the Sydney Opera House on New Year's Eve. I mean, the other thing that would, of course, stop me from doing that is the ABC coverage of what they do there New Year's Eve. It's just absolutely abhorrent. But don't even know if they're doing it again this year. They've screwed it up for the last God knows how many, so somebody may have taken it all off them. But no, this level of hatred has been brewing now for some time, and it's become quite clear that all the protests for Gaza weren't really protests for Gaza at all. I mean, that's all over. The war is done with. You got what you wanted. Israel got what they wanted. Gaza settled for whatever they could get. And the world moves on. But it doesn't. The world's moved on far enough to have it fire up again in downtown Sydney. One of the most iconic locations in Australia, world-renowned because of Bondi Rescue, the TV show. And to the surf lifesavers who acted yesterday in very heroic circumstances, one of whom I actually happen to know. Young bloke, I know his parents more than him, to be honest. But he was involved. There's actually a picture of him running down the street to get involved with it. So, yeah, those Bondi surf lifesavers also were brilliant first responders there yesterday, and I think deserve a lot of applause and a lot of thanks for what they were able to do as well. Bearing in mind that they were also, I think, played a large part in crowd control. So yeah, it was a big effort all around. So we have had this geeing up of the community now for some months. Some might suggest that Beck Freedom has been saying this has been on the cards for some time. And lo and behold, it wasn't a Nazi who came out and did any of the shooting or any of the carry-on. Once again, it's two very minor portions of our population having a very spirited 1,000-year, 2,000-year bloody fight and bringing it to Bondi. It's not all of Australia, but all of Australians are now going to be punished for it. All of Australian gun holders are now going to be punished for it, whether it's this new 3-gun rule or whatever. Now, this is going to make life very difficult. Is it going to be 3 long guns or 3 long arms or 3 guns in total? I know people who have a dozen or more handguns and probably twice that number in long arms, different kinds of rifles. Now, and shotguns. What happens? They've all got to go and get rid of those? Do you think a gun amnesty for those sorts of people is going to work again after Port Arthur? No. I think what you're going to find is a lot of police reports with gun safes torn out of walls and strange and stranded owners looking there and saying, hey, mate, we went away for the weekend. Everything was bolted in the wall. And when we came home, it's been torn out of the wall. Don't know what's going on. Somebody stole all my guns. Guarantee it. Because only the most brain dead of Australians who currently hold gun licenses would fall for that trick again. And many of them didn't the first time round in 1996 after Port Arthur, when in record time new gun laws were spirited through the Parliament and Australia was essentially disarmed. I lost 2 guns out of that. One of which was an heirloom, a family heirloom, an antique, a single-action hammer, Harrington and Richardson shotgun that was made in 1891. And I came home from boarding school and the old man had handed, I came home from somewhere. I was already in radio then when that happened, and the old man had handed it in. Couldn't believe it. I'd actually restored the thing, so... and it would have been very simple to make it inoperable, but for whatever reason, he went and handed it in. I was a bit shocked about that. Anyway, I'd be shocked if they came and tried to take my guns off me today if I had any. because I don't feel there is a reason. Most sane people don't have to worry about this kind of thing. And it doesn't matter whether you've got one gun or three, you can still kill a lot of people. So this is just going to be whittling down, whittling down, whittling down. And all the pressure will be on those people, those good people, those lawful people who have no intention now, nor have they ever, to turn a weapon on other people for any reason. But they are the ones that are going to be punished now. They are the ones who are already viewed as, oh, what sort of a redneck heathen are you because you've got a gun license and you like guns or you like shooting? You know, they already have this certain stigma attached to them, people who like guns. And I think that's because far too many people watch far too much American TV. But I could be wrong about that. I've been wrong about many things in the past. So all the same, it might not be. But the government has been to blame for all of this. We've had these protests. We've had the Gaza protests every weekend in Sydney for I don't know how long. I think they're still going on when there's nothing left to protest about. Or as far as we're aware, there's nothing left to protest about, but these people always seem to find something to whinge about. And what is the Australian government going to do? Well, they're not going to do anything to the immigrants, that's for sure. Because the immigrants are the ones who have the money at the moment, folks, not us. The immigrants are the ones who are bringing the money into the country, not us. We're just a cost. So what do? Well, it starts with government, and it starts with people like Miss Fakuri here. Miss Fakuri. Fakari, Fakuri. I think that's Fakuri. I think that's how you say her name. I keep mucking it up. She's part of a safer world for all. And yet, I haven't heard a word out of her today about this atrocity that happened in Sydney yesterday. And today, of course, is the 7th anniversary of Man Monis and the shooting at the Lint Cafe. It might be longer than 7 years. That happened on December the 15th. There's been a few weird things that have happened on my birthday over the years. Some of the things I don't mind being reminded of. Some of the things I do. Man Monis is one I don't like necessarily being reminded of. And another one is December the 15th is also the same date that Glenn Miller disappeared. The big band jazz guy from the 1940s. He was an American airman. He was involved with a big band and music crew and all that kind of thing. And he was flying back from France to England and disappeared somewhere over the channel. At least that's the story. So, yeah. I don't know what Miss Fakuri is going to say or do in the next 24, 48 hours. But it's quite telling that our Muslim representatives in that place, the Senate, at least to this point, have been quiet. Unlike a couple of Muslims, leaders in the Muslim community in Sydney, who've come out and condemned these two flat out and have in fact refused burial rites anywhere in any Muslim cemetery, and they're not going to prepare the bodies, not going to do burial rites, not going to do anything. They did the same for Man Monis when he committed his atrocity at the Lint Cafe. They basically refused to do anything to the body, and I'm not completely sure. I did hear that Man Monis was buried in a pauper grave somewhere in Sydney somewhere, and not like an unmarked grave. So that's probably what will happen with this fellow who's already died. And the other one is in a serious condition, but looks like he might pull through, which in theory will give us some answers, or he will just be one of those typical types who have done these sort of atrocities and will just offer filth and abuse because he knows he's going to jail for the rest of his life. And where he will go will be the Supermax in Goulburn. being a terrorist. He'll probably be housed there from the moment he gets out of hospital. And he'll be stuck in there with the other good terrorists, and they'll be able to G each other up for God knows how long. And we will pay to it. We will pay for it to the tune of, I think the last figure I saw for New South Wales prisons was $223,000 a year it costs to keep each prisoner. You'd think they'd be eating fine dining 5 nights a week with that sort of thing, but apparently that's not the case. Could there be wastage in the department there? Oof, who knows? Will the government be taking a stronger look at the immigrants that it's bringing into the country? Will they potentially look at halting immigration into this country while we sort out who's who in the zoo and which ones we gave gun licenses to? No, I don't think that'll be the case. In fact, in India, there is a new ad that is running there, which people might find, particularly if you live in India, really, really interesting. Indians can now get Australian PR, which is permanent residency, with zero money, zero job offers, and it's 100% real. If you are a professional in areas like technology, healthcare, that means you go and look after our old people. Agri-tech, farming, we can see a lot of Indians doing well on Australian wheat farms. And the creative arts, because we don't have nearly enough creative types here in Australia already, then the National Innovation Visa offers a rare chance to secure a better life without the usual obstacles of, like having to have a job when you come to Australia, having to have money, and, having had a desire to live in this country. And you will go and work hard. You show that before you are given residency. But it appears the Australian government is opening the door just that little bit wider for people of technology. And look, that's India, but there are plenty of technology-based countries in very poor areas who have very, very good technology. Some would suggest we could be employing people from Ukraine on the same basis. I would think if we're going to employ anybody from Ukraine, we'd probably want some of those drone drivers, wouldn't we? That might be another story. Anyway, it's been a sad night. It's been a sad last 24 hours. And I do feel for everybody who's been affected by what's gone on in Sydney. I do have some questions about what's gone on in Sydney. Some of them seem pretty easy to answer. Some of them are quite complex. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that this is too much more than another effort to place more control over the majority of the Australian public while protecting one minority and demonizing another in this country. So, yeah. Peg, you've got the right idea there. When Australia opens up a visa for scammers, I think we are going to be inundated, because how many of them would love to move out of some shithole in Mumbai and go and live on the Sunshine Coast and run it out of a share home up there on the water? Why wouldn't you? Plenty of them can, and I know some that have. So Pete's got lots of Indians in the Mallee. Ladies are lovely, but most of the men are chauvinistic. Yeah, and can't drive. Mate, stick them on a tractor. No, they'd probably run into the fence. I've found most of the Indian ladies to be absolutely wonderful, wonderful ladies. The men, look, I've never had too much trouble with any of the Indian blokes either. You get a conversation going about the cricket, it's usually all right. And I've worked with some Indian blokes, not in radio, because, well, they don't come across on radio very well. But I've worked with a couple of them, and they're lovely. Look, I don't wish anybody harm. I don't think badly of anybody who wants to make a better life for their family, and they want to get out of the shithole they were unluckily enough to be born into. And some of the people that I know have come from real shitholes in the world. But those people have come to this nation and appreciate it. they appreciate it more than Australians that have been born here and have got generations of history here. Australians take Australia for granted, especially those of us who've never been outside of it. We take it very much for granted. You go anywhere else in the world, you will not find anywhere like Australia. Well, Canada maybe comes close. But even now, with the woke left in control there, it's just as scary as Victoria. The whole country of Canada is just as scary as Victoria. So, yeah. Daniel's waiting for what? Daniel's waiting for his scooter to burst into flames to become the Ghost Rider. Yeah, mate, that'd look pretty good. Daniel has one of those scooters that'll do like 100 kilometers an hour down the highway. We were talking about it when I called in and saw him in Canberra, and I've said, too close to a motorbike. I think I've told you before that God and I had a conversation after I crashed my third motorbike that I wasn't to ride a motorbike again, and I haven't. But I did have a conversation with him not all that long ago, and I was bartering. He's a scooter that does 100 kilometers an hour, a motorbike. Turned out he won. I won't get on one of them either. But yeah, good on you, Daniel. You're brave enough to do it, and skinny enough to cut a fine line through the wind. I think I'd act as my own personal parachute. Makes it a bit hard. All right, folks, I've just about exhausted myself for tonight, and it is my birthday. I was going to go out for dinner. That all fell over for a variety of reasons, and that's why, the show was more important given what's happened over the last 24 hours. But as it turned out, dinner plans fell through as well. So I might just take myself off, go and have a banana for dinner, and sort myself out for a day tomorrow, which hopefully will see me on the road and heading north to catch up with a few people up there, and that I've been trying to see for some time. If you want to give us a helping hand, folks, we could really use it, and so could the Donkey Sanctuary. $2 is all it costs for one of our lotto tickets, and we've got an ounce of silver and $750 up for grabs. Goes to two people. First one out of the draw gets the $750. The second one gets the ounce of silver in the shape of 10 Byron Bobs in our very own personalized Voice of Freedom Byron Bob holder. We might have some more Byron Bobs in the not too distant future if you are still interested. We'll just have to wait and see what the price of silver is doing. Oh, and I haven't talked about that today yet, but Ainslie Bullion, God love them, have kept me appraised of everything that's been going on with the price of silver and gold today. Now, silver has just taken a little kick in the last hour or so. It's just broken through $96, Australian, that is. In the US, it's 63.87 in the US. So it's not far off breaking through $64 again, which it did, I want to say, Friday. Gold was the big mover so far today, though, folks. If you were worried because your gold hadn't moved much while silver was doing its big jump, well, rest assured, gold's jumped $200 odd today, and looks like it's continuing to go up now. The rest of the world markets are starting to open, and I would expect silver at 96.05. We might see it go up to $98. Maybe even 99 by tomorrow night. It might go to 99. It might drop back again. I think we're going to see gold get stronger again. So keep an eye on that. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see gold go through 6,800 tonight or tomorrow. That's $6,800 an ounce. And if you bought your ounces when they were $780, like somebody told me the other day when they bought theirs back in the 90s, was $730. Sorry, not 80, $730 for an ounce of gold. And they bought quite a few of them back then. Well, you've got to be happy with that sort of an increase. That's nearly a $6,000 profit per ounce of gold. Don't say, folks, that you can't get wealthy with gold and silver. It's the only way to protect your wealth. when the government comes for you, when the power goes off, when you can't access your card, then all you will have is access to precious metals. And if you don't have some Byron bobs, or you don't have a couple of ounces of silver, or you maybe got a little bit of gold, you're going to find it hard to trade, because that's what it's going to come down to. At certain times, you're going to need to trade. Also, if you're a bit like me and you don't have much in your super account, which I've made an attempt to get out today, so we'll see how successful that becomes. The tax man will want to have a go at it, and God knows whoever else will want to have a go at it. So maybe by the end of the week, I might have something I can go to Ainslie Bullion and buy a bit of silver with, but I doubt it. We'll see what happens. But if you're in a better spot than I am in that regard, put it into your, get your super, put it into a trust or a self-managed super fund, and get it growing, because we haven't seen the growth stop yet. Everybody that I watch, everybody that I listen to, everybody that I talk to says that silver is now a runaway train, and they're not prepared to pick a ceiling at which it's going to stop. They're saying it just could go to 100,000 or more. So parity with gold at the very least. But we're also expecting gold to get quite a large hit in the not too distant future too. So keep an eye on it, ainslieBullion.com.au. If you want to go and buy some online, you can do that. Just leave my name in the notes section of your order and you'll get a little discount. Now, it is a little discount. I put a comment up the other night. Somebody said that they'd got $200, an extra $200, if you like, out of the discount when they bought their silver or gold or whatever it was that they bought. Now, I can tell you that if that was true, then those folks spent a lot of money. A lot of money. Not 5 or 10,000, not even 100,000, not even 500,000. A lot of money to get a $200 discount. All right? Because the discount that Ainslie provide is only a 15th of a bee's dick. It's very tiny, because they have no margin in this portion of the sale. If they were to overcharge at the spot price, people would simply go to another bullion dealer and buy the gold or silver cheaper. So there is no margin in selling to you. Where they make their money is when you sell it back to them. And that's where you'll find a very competitive rate, where you will, I think it's 6%, is what they take in a sale. So that's where they make their money, selling it back to you, not in selling it or taking it back from you, not selling it to you. And so please don't be confused. The discount is it's a 15th of a cent. It's like 0.0047 of a cent of every cent you spend, so to speak. But if you're spending a lot, if you're rolling over a self-managed super fund or something like that, then yes, you will be able to buy something reasonably significant to add to the pile, or take the money home or go and have lunch with it or whatever you want to do. But please don't expect a $200 bonus, if you like, or a $200 discount. If you're not spending, I would suggest hundreds and hundreds, if not millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So that's all I can help you out with that. But I can also tell you they are the only place in the country that is going to offer you any discount when buying your bullion. And any discount is better than none at all, I would have thought. And the fact that you don't have to line up. There have been mad queues. And I know Ainslie's Gold Coast, Brisbane and Melbourne offices have been absolutely flat out. So with these very busy times, maybe it's easier for you just to do the order online at ainslieBullion.com.au and fill out all your details, what you want. Make sure you put my name or Voice of Freedom in the notes section there and send it off. You'll get an invoice. You'll have to pay that invoice through your bank. They don't work off cards. The invoice will come through. There'll be a bank account number for you to pay into. So just use your phone banking or whatever you've got to do to sort that one out. And then, lo and behold, a day or two later, it'll all turn up in your hot little hand in a security package delivered by courier. And if it doesn't get to you, it's all insured. Don't worry about it. They'll send you another one. So very easy. AinslieBullion.com.au, great people to go and deal with when it comes to looking after and building your wealth. God love you, folks. All right. Have yourself a fabulous night tonight, and keep an eye on the gold and silver market. At the moment, the predictions of $100 an ounce for silver before Christmas, I don't think are too far-fetched at all. And I know quite a number of you have been very successful in getting quite a windfall. One fella rang me today to wish me a happy birthday and told me that because of the advice that I gave him way back in buying some bullion, he was going out today to buy himself a new car based on the profits that he'd made from his silver purchase. All I said to him was, I'm very envious, and watch out for the dickheads on the road.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!